What's good? We're back here with another video, and you know what this video is gonna be? Well, you saw the title, but the reason why I have a video like this that I view as special, my top 10, top 15 favorite anime of all time, is because you guys helped me hit 100 subscribers on the channel, and I just want to thank everybody who has been subscribing, everyone who's been watching the videos, the NBA videos, the anime videos, the social commentary videos. It doesn't matter. Anyone who's ever watched any one of my videos for any amount of time, I genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me the time of day and just coming to support the kid. And yeah, let's get into it. Before I begin the list, I have 5 honorable mentions, and the reason why they're honorable mentions, those 5 specifically, is because those are the 5 examples of things that I will base the rest of the list on. First honorable mention is Fate Zero, and the only reason why it's 16th is because episode 1 is boring as hell. The rest of it is amazing. If you care about political philosophies or even societal philosophies and such, and if you want to know why each ideology is inherently flawed in itself, watch Fate Zero. At 17 and 18, I have Naruto and One Piece, and that's because this is an anime list. And at the end of the day, One Piece, for the first 200 episodes, the animation is ass cheeks. And it has bad pacing, you have mixed filler, so it's not even like Naruto where you can skip a chunk of the filler. No, it's mixed in with the episodes because of the pacing, which bogs it down. And after the time skip, it's just horrendous. And then you add that to the bad animation, even for the time, which was like early 2000s. And for 200 episodes, yeah, One Piece, the anime is outside the top 10. Same with Naruto. As much as I love Naruto, especially part 1, the war arc still brings it down. And then anime wise, we're talking about the endless filler that exists in Naruto. It's infamous at this point. You know what I'm talking about. Now, the manga for both of these, One Piece is my favorite manga of all time, and Naruto is in my top 10, close to the top 5, because I think that the manga is so amazing and so underrated at the same time. But on this anime list, they're both honorable mentions outside the top 15 for those reasons. And moving on, we have Kaguya-sama and Made in Abyss as the last 2 honorable mentions. And these two, I love Kaguya-sama. I like Made in Abyss, but Made in Abyss, to be honest, the show was like above average until like the last 4 episodes, and then I've yet to watch the movie. I'm actually gonna watch it after this recording. And then Kaguya-sama, I love it, but I think it's just a tad bit, a little bit overrated. And also, I just don't think that it's quite good enough to get into the top 15, at least in my opinion. If you have a different opinion, leave it down below. Hope you guys enjoy the list. So starting at number 15, we have Jujutsu Kaisen. And the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is that there's only 1 season out so far, and it's very new. It came out at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, sometime around there. And it was absolutely amazing. The animation's great. It planted the seeds for an amazing society and dichotomy between the sorcerers and the cursed spirits, and the cursed energy is an amazing power system that they've set up so far. You have some lovable characters in there with Todo. Nobara's great. Megumi's amazing. Mei's good. But even just from season 1, I rated it a 9 out of 10. On here, I have it as a 8.5 technically, but on Mal, it's a 9 out of 10. I just think that has an amazing start. And I'm also including Volume 0 in this, since the movie is announced. It's coming out like in December, I think on Christmas actually. And I'm actually including it in here to give it a little bit of a bump, since technically Volume 0 is the start of the series. If we're being honest, it was written before the rest of it, and the movie's already been announced, so I guess it's not really, unfair if I include it. I mean, plus it's my list, so who really cares? But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen's 15, and it's amazing, so watch it. 14, we have One Punch Man. And I wish I was around in the anime community when One Punch Man premiered, but from what I understand, it was just magical and amazing to see every episode come out. The comedy was great. And even in season 2, although yes, the animation is a severe downgrade, but One Punch Man season 1 is some of the greatest animation we've ever seen. So a downgrade from that should not only be expected, but it's not even like the animation's all that bad. Then when you consider the events that actually take place in season 2, with Saitama becoming more of a supporting character within quote-unquote his own series, and we have the introduction of Garo, and oh my god, Garo is so amazing. It's just what he does in season 2 and seeing his development into becoming what he wants, which truly I agree with people like Nux who say that Garo is the main character of the series. Even in season 2, I can see that he is. Like, a lot of episodes we view from his eyes, and the dichotomy between his physical growth and then you have Saitama's mental growth, becoming a true hero and learning what it means to be a hero through King and through Genos. It's amazing. One Punch Man is just great. Season 1 is just amazing, and I feel like it breaks down the shonen formula, parodies it amazingly, and even in itself, it is just a great series, non-comedy wise. Also, at 13 we have ReZero, and okay, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Not unlike the podcast I was on last week, Let's Keep It a Buck podcast, check them out in the description. But half the time I don't know what the is happening in ReZero, but I still know what makes it great, and what makes it great is, at the end of the day, Subaru and everything that his development entails, the events that he causes in the series. Just his existence allows what Roswaal to do, allows what Betelgeuse to do, and his impact on the story at all. His relationship with Amelia's past, and then season 1, especially towards the end, I was a little bit confused, but season 2, I understand the greatness of everything. The sanctuary, all that was amazing. The forest with Amelia, oh my god, Amelia's backstory was great. So I understand some things. I still feel like I'm missing out on some of the depth, but even from what I do understand, it's 13 on my list. It might be higher if I understood it more and if I were the dumbass, but I still understand its greatness. And yeah, so moving on. At number 12, we have my favorite romance anime of all time, and that is Bunny Girl Senpai. Now, I know what you're saying if you haven't seen this anime. Bunny Girl Senpai, that sounds weird. Cardiac, what the f are you watching? I'm watching an amazing series, because the way that Bunny Girl Senpai breaks down and has an amazing look on life as a teenager and life as an adolescent in a hyper social world where not only are you constantly being judged by other people, but you judge yourself. And because of that, in this world, a bunch of weird things start happening to you. And it's a great representation of what life is like when you're in those stages when, you know, the adults around you like to downplay the issues that you go through. And for someone who watched it at a time when I was going through a lot of stuff at the time, it had a profound impact on me to see that portrayed in such a physical manner in the series. And just the relationship between the characters, the supernatural elements to it, and everything involved made it one hell of a ride. And I really love Bunny Girl Senpai. It's my favorite romance anime of all time, like I said. And if you want to look into a physical representation of what life is and life was for you as a teenager or as an adolescent going through puberty, going through breakups, going through hardships that people like to downplay in quote-unquote teen issues, Bunny Girl Senpai is an anime that will show it in a whole new light. At number 11, we have Vinland Saga. Now, right here, I have just watch it, because honestly, I don't want to say anything about the series that will potentially spoil it, but I will. You see, Vinland Saga is an amazing series. Even season 1, I haven't read the manga. I have no idea what happens in the manga. I just saw season 1 on Amazon Prime like maybe a year ago, and it's an amazing series. Askeladd, A-tier, S-tier character. Tors, what he represents for the story and what he represents and just his character for the time that we have with him, it's so amazing. The fights in the show, the animation, Thorfinn's development, even though from what I hear from manga readers, we haven't even hit the apex of his development, and actually when he becomes the main character, he gets a bunch of development that it just makes the series go on from there. And even this season, looking at what's happening to him through his eyes, but from another person being an active participant in the story, it's just amazing. Watch Vinland Saga. Buy Amazon Prime. Get a free trial. Do it illegally. I don't care. Watch Vinland Saga. Watch it. It's amazing. If you have any interest in Vikings, if you have any interest in watching a story with great written characters and a dichotomy between a protagonist and an antagonist like Thorfinn and Askeladd, just watch it. We break into the top 10 with Your Lie in April. Now, Your Lie in April I watched 2 weeks ago for the second time, and For a while, I watched it the first time and I didn't see what was so great about it. I liked it, but I didn't think that it was all that people hyped it up to be. I didn't think that it was this amazing romance, this amazing slice of life. I didn't see the magic in it until I rewatched it recently. And as a musician myself who has struggled with finding inspiration and finding passion to do the things that I actually love to do, seeing that in somebody else in a very heartfelt and well-written story with believable characters, believable romance, and believable friendships and relationships put me in tears. So to anyone who hasn't seen it, I commend that you watch Your Lie in April. At number 9, I have another anime that I watched this past week in Psycho-Pass. And Psycho-Pass, oh my god. Psycho-Pass is amazing. Psycho-Pass, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but the premise is that we're following a police department, essentially, and detectives in a Japan that is under a system called the Sybil system, in which it measures the quote-unquote psychopath.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Or the mental state, mental well-being, and just basically your psyche at any given moment. And I won't say more than that. But Psycho-Pass, if you're interested in the idea of social philosophies and ideologies that, different people have, if you are curious about the idea of utilitarianism and how a society would work in that, if you are someone who feels strongly about the idea of justice and what that is and what that means to each and every individual, I really recommend that you watch Psycho-Pass because it's an amazing series. And everything that makes it amazing, you have to see for yourself. The twists and turns and the world building and the character writing and the philosophy in it. It's so amazing. So give it a try. At number 8, we have an anime that I can actually talk about instead of just recommending. We have Death Note. Everyone's seen Death Note. If you haven't seen Death Note, what's wrong with you? A lot of you all will claim that the last 10 to 15 episodes of Death Note are complete dog when they're just not. The last 10 to 15 episodes of Death Note are actually pretty good. Now, is it the first 25 with L and Light and the dichotomy between them two? No, but that's because you're looking for L again. You're not looking at Nier and you're not looking at Mello as a split of the perfect antagonist. You see, the whole point of them coming into the story was to drag on the series, so Light could get caught. That's what the reason was. But beyond that, on a thematic scale, the purpose of those two being the antagonists to Light is the fact that they represent what L did, but in two different forms. They took the confidence and the cockiness of L in Mello and also added, his own character to it. He's his own character at the end of the day. And then in Nier, you have the quiet, the cunning, the smart, the detective skill. And it's an interesting split. And it's not something that a lot of people expected when going from a series where you had the greatest protagonist-antagonist relationship one-to-one in Light versus L, the amazing cat and mouse chase that we all know. And if it was just those 25 episodes, this anime would be in the top 5 for me. But one thing that you have to consider is the fact that it doesn't take too much of a fall, if any fall. Well, it takes a fall. It takes a fall. It's like 2 steps, when you trip down the stairs and you go whoop whoop. That's what the last 15 episodes of Death Note are. But similar to how Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke are written in Demon Slayer, it's a breakdown of what one character would be, but in a group. And that's what Nier and Mello are, and that's what the trio in Demon Slayer is. The character traits of all 3 of those characters add up to the average shonen protagonist that you see in Naruto, that you see in Asta. It's just broken down into 3 characters that have each individual traits from that model shonen protagonist. It's the same way with breaking down L into Nier and Mello to then be the antagonist of the story, or at least to Light, since he's the protagonist. So yeah, Death Note, it's not, the last 15 episodes aren't bad. But moving on to 7, we have the greatest romance anime of all time, and that is Horimiya. Now, Horimiya is another anime that I watched recently, but that's because it came out recently, I think at the beginning of this year in winter 2021. And the thing about Horimiya is that it's just so good. It's amazing. And it did something that is very taboo in anime, and it took the original source material and condensed it down and adapted it all in one season. Like, I was so very surprised when I learned that the ending of Horimiya in the anime is the ending of the manga, which the manga is over 100 chapters, and they did that in 13 episodes. They did what The Promised Neverland did, but didn't take a shit on it. With that being said, Horimiya was able to pull off that entire story, all that character development for the entire cast, the main group of characters, and created a believable romance to where you fall in love with the characters, and it's a very, very real relationship. If you haven't seen Horimiya, it's the greatest romance anime of all time. It's the #1 rated romance manga on Mal and on AniList, I do believe, and it's that for a reason. It's just amazing. At number 6, I have Hunter x Hunter, and I'm not gonna really explain this one, because Hunter x Hunter is really good. If you don't think it is, you're wrong, and if you think it's in the top 5, you're wrong. And right above Hunter x Hunter, actually tied with it on this list, but I have it at 5 because of favoritism, is Attack on Titan. Now, Attack on Titan would be top 3 if I could forget what I read, and this is the exception to the rule because it's my favorite anime of all time and it's my list, so who gives a... I can't forget what I read, and I read the ending of Attack on Titan, and it's the only anime that I read the manga and watch the anime for. My Hero, I dropped the anime because it's getting garbage. It's been garbage for 2 years. Jujutsu Kaisen, I watched the movie, but I probably won't watch season 2 because I'm already reading it. But Attack on Titan, I was looking for links to watch season 4 early. Like, I'm invested in this series. It's my favorite series of all time. And because of that, I can't forget what I read. And because of what I read, it drops. It drops to 5 because the endings. And because of that, it's a 9 out of 10. I don't know what to tell you. Number 4 is Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist, the reason why it's 4 and none the top 3 is because I think it does everything perfect. Surprising. But I don't think it does anything extraordinary. Like, it doesn't rewrite the book. Like, it writes its characters. Like, Ed, for a long time, was my favorite protagonist in all of fiction. Then I rewatched Brotherhood, I think, like 4 times. I've watched it like 6 times in total. And all the characters are written to their absolute peak from what you'd expect. But it doesn't rewrite the script for anyone. Like, there's nothing that jumps out the page and it's like, oh my god, Itachi's just this amazing written character. They don't have anything like that. The world building is as best as you would think the world building would be. The characters are as greatly written as you think it would be. The plot is as tight as you think it would be, but it's not all that convoluted. It doesn't do anything spectacular. And at the end of the day, in order to be in the top 3, you have to be the absolute best at something. And I think that these next 3 are the best at something that FMAB isn't. It does it the best that it can, and it doesn't exceed that. At number 3, I have Mob Psycho 100. And Mob Psycho has 2 seasons out so far. I haven't read the webcomic because I heard that One writes it. I'm not going to read something from One. But in my opinion, Mob Psycho has the 3rd best character writing in all of anime, only behind Haikyuu and 7 Deadly Sins. But when it comes to emotional storytelling and getting you to invest in a group of characters or in a storyline or in a theme that is going to run the next arc, it's the best. It's the absolute best at doing that, of tying your emotions to a character or tying your emotions to an arc or a situation that it sets up in such a short amount of time for you to get so invested and care so much. And it does it amazingly. It does it the best I've ever seen. The only thing that comes close to it is like Naruto or Fairy Tail, to be honest. And they don't even really come close, in my opinion, considering the fact that Naruto had a lot of build up for that, as opposed to Mob Psycho, which is just tight writing, amazing animation, great characters. Like, it's so good. Watch Mob Psycho. The art style might be a little bit jarring at first. It was for me. I got roasted for saying that Mob Psycho looked ugly for like a few months. And then I love it. I love the art style now. So give it a chance if you haven't. And it's number 3. At number 2, I have Haikyuu. And for anyone who doesn't watch sports anime, you're missing out. Just Haikyuu, like, it's so amazing. As the greatest character writing I've ever seen. If Mob Psycho is right here at emotional storytelling, Haikyuu's like right here. And there's like maybe 2 above it, if that. But Haikyuu does an amazing job of getting you connected to every single game, every single match, every single team that it introduces. And it balances the characters on the team. It balances the emotions of the characters and writes a consistently amazing story every single time. And that's not even considering the manga. Seasons 2 till 4 part 2, which we just got to the top part 2, I rank a 10 out of 10. Everything. 2, 3. Like Shiratorizawa? Oh my god. The season, there's an entire season, 10 episode season where it's the entire 10 episodes is Karasuno versus Shiratorizawa, and the character writing and the emotional scenes that you get from high school kids playing volleyball is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you haven't watched Haikyuu, watch it. But Haikyuu's amazing. It's a 9.7 to me, and it's number 2 on the list. Number 1, we have Code Geass. Code Geass has the greatest ending in all of anime. For the anime that I've seen, for the shows I've seen, it has the greatest ending ever, and it's just amazing. The ideological war between Suzaku, Lelouch's dad, is amazing. It's just it's almost the greatest war arc and the greatest ending in all of anime. And I can't talk about any of it because it's a major spoiler. All I'm gonna say is, Colin is best girl. I hope that y'all have a good day. Peace.